You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Lounge podcast. I'm your host, David Hall. iRacers Lounge is the podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are some of the not-so-usual characters, Chris Scales.
What up?
Brian McCubbin.
I'm back.
Gregory Hectus.
I'm full-time producer today.
And Tony Gross.
What's up, fellas?
All right. This week, we are going to be talking Coke Series. After a 4-week hiatus, we're back at the Tricky Triangle at Pocono. We'll also be discussing the new eNASCAR Internet Series and all your other iRacing topics.
And remember, you can follow along with us on your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. Hope to see you there.
It's super extra real time today because Brian had to publish his show notes because I haven't done this for a while, and I made him break things just so I could do this. Thank you, Brian.
Or Chris was just too lazy to log in, so we
I wasn't lazy. I don't have it. It's on my phone, dude.
Well, before we jump into the Coke Series, Brian, why don't you tell us about Grid Finder?
Yes, Grid Finder is your go-to source for finding your next sim racing league. Currently home to over 450 leagues across all gaming platforms and across 10 different racing sims, including over 80 iRacing leagues. Filter your search by racing sim, car class, race day, and region. So finding a league to fit your schedule has never been easier. Just visit Grid Finder, www.grid-finder.com to find a league or to upload your own. Grid Finder, the home of online sim racing leagues.
Pocono Coke Series. First thing we have on the script, we have Ray Ofala putting out a radioactive for the 51 team. Did anybody get a chance to listen to this? It was only about 2 minutes long, but I didn't get a chance to watch it all the way through.
Hey,
Yeah,
everybody.
Not have time to watch that. Maybe our special guest Mike Ellis had watched that.
You know, I was here, but I wanted to hear you guys get through the intro without me, and you guys did a great job, by the way.
Awesome. So the Podfather is back.
I am. Thank you. I'm just getting the script open. I love it when a plan comes together. So where are we at, guys?
Well, we just started talking about Radioactive 51, the 51 Radioactive from Ray. Did you get a chance to watch it?
Oh, yeah. It's more about listening to it. It's a classic NASCAR Radioactive, if you've heard it on Fox, but focused in on Ray and his win after a long drought to kind of get his playoff championships alive. I loved it, and I love any kind of radioactive. And we had seen Kligerman do this, and I had begged for some other teams to do it. And sure enough, Ray jumped on board with his win. And Ray, keep it up. Go for it again.
We'll get a little bit more into that later about his playoff chances. We also had an update come out just before the race. Kligerman Esport driver Isaac Gann is currently dealing with a medical issue and is having to drop out of the race. And so they had to bring in a substitute for him, and that was Aaron Burrows, or I only have Anthony Burrows. He's at Burrows62 on Twitter. He filled in for him this weekend.
Yeah, and so we don't know exactly what's wrong with Isaac. They've just said medical condition, and that's tough. I mean, he was a force to be reckoned with here in his, going in through 2021, and he's had several really good runs where he was in contention, if you recall. And so one more note on that. I was thinking, what are his implications? Like if he wants to run next year, he really can't because he's not in the current Road to Pro. Is that right? Maybe it's
so. Yeah.
NASCAR exemption time.
They could come up with an exemption, or it just add an extra slot to the Pro Series, kind of like I remember the year Kyle got hurt because of he hit the one spot there wasn't a safer barrier at Pocono, and came back and won the championship, right? Because they went ahead and made the exception for him.
Now, they affectionately call him Walter. I don't really know the story behind that. We'll have to have him on the show and find out. But Walter, or Anthony Burroughs, he was actually the one guy that was right below the cut line to make it to the Coke Series. He was the first guy that didn't make it. So he was basically, has always been this year, the reserve driver. And so when this situation comes up, that's who iRacing turns to per their rules and stuff. So it's good to see Anthony get a chance, and he actually had a pretty nice run going, even though the circumstances of getting the chance are unfortunate.
This is a second year that somebody's had to drop out of the series. Didn't someone go out with a bad back last year and dropped out halfway through the season? I can't remember who it was, but this is two years in a row now.
Well, we started most of the early portion of the race. We had some green flag runs. We had drivers divide into a 2-stop plan and a 3-stop plan. They kind of worked their way through the middle of the race. Then we had the first caution came out it was with 18 to go, right? With 19 to go.
It was somewhere right there. I mean, it was green up into that point, and it was all a 1, 2, or 3-stop strategy race, and it was interesting. It was kind of playing out where I was paying attention to who was on what strategy. We had one guy, Matt Busa, who was dead last for the longest time, actually try to make it on one stop, and he came up like 1 or even 2 laps short, I think, on that stop. But he was trying. A lot of them were on 2, but some were on 3, and that was kind of interesting how it was going to play out. But sure enough, there was a caution.
Yeah, that track is almost makeable with that race length at 80. It's 80 laps, and you can almost make it 40 laps if you're slower. So I can do it because I'm not as fast as them. So I was gonna make it on one stop each time we ran, but they're probably just putting out more pace, and if he'd slowed down enough to make it 40 laps, he probably would have given up too much time.
Now, let's talk a little bit, David, here about what happened with Evan and the broadcast. Early in the broadcast, Evan disappeared. He was gone. And all of a sudden, we heard James Pike filling in with the others. And so, first of all, Pike is a professional, and kudos to having a backup plan, and what a good one at that. So he filled the shoes very well. Evan apparently was having, internet issues, or iRacing was having internet issues. That's to be determined, I guess. But so that was happening, and we were hearing it, David. You said it was almost unbearable to hear with the dropouts in the audio.
Yeah, but the issues I was hearing was happening through the whole broadcast, not just Evan's sound. What it was doing is the audio was skipping. It was almost like it was running a little bit slower, and then it would skip 2 or 3 words that they said, and it was happening to both Evan and his teammates. So
it was skipping, but to the casual viewer, it sounded like a dropout. If you're not paying attention, right?
No, you would literally hear it be in the middle of one word, and then they'd jump into the next word.
Oh, I see.
He'd be like, "Hi, we're gonna." It was pretty jarring, but it wasn't. I don't know if it was because of Evan's internet issues that was causing the whole server to lag out. Or speaking of Evan, he was supposed to be here today, but obviously his internet's completely down now. So we heard from him just a little bit before the show that they live on the edge of town, and the whole town was down on internet today.
So we're happy to go over the race, but really up into that point, with the 20 to go, it was shaping up to be a barn burner of who was going to play the right strategy. And so King Cook actually put after the race a recap, and I'm going to read it because it really does capture the essence of what happens next. He says, I need to start using the best strategy. Short pit and then cause a caution. Then send it on multiple restarts. And so that's exactly what happened. And who was it? It was Ashton Crowder. He had better tires than some others because he was on different strategy. And he basically drove over Keegan Leahy in turn 2. Keegan went in there like he always does and at the normal speed. He was on older tires, though. And Ashton came in right behind him and just kind of, ran over him. And anyway, that started the whole thing of cautions breed cautions. And I'm not kidding. It was literally one after another.
Yeah, all to the point that we finally ended up with the second overtime restart, right? With Bobby Zielinski and Mitchell DeJong. Or is it DeJong or DeYoung? Well, I think it's DeJong.
We didn't even get that far. There were several cautions before the green-white checkers.
Yeah, I was compressing a little bit on us, moving on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it was restart after restart after restart, but the last one, the final restart, was Bobby Zielinski, Mitchell DeJong, leading to turn 1. DeJong tried to stay even for a second, and then a fellow was there. There's a crash in the back. And that was I'm sorry, that's the restart 1. They lead again for restart 2, right? And there's more trouble. We got Ryan Duche and T-Dog Hurst. They get into a crash before the field even gets to turn 1. We have another caution?
It's crazy. They were crashing before they even get to turn 1. But it was sin time, once the caution started going, and everyone was just trying to get everything they could. And if they did make it through turn 1 and down the back, it was fascinating to watch because they were 3 and 4 wide and doing crazy stuff. And, it's typical NASCAR. It's really good on the restarts,
Yeah, and you can do that a lot easier if everybody has a spotter. MRN's broadcast this weekend down in Nashville went out during the truck race. So I switched over and listened to Haley Deegan's channel quite a bit. And TJ was really teaching her the whole time. It was really neat. But she was racing in a lot of 3-wide situations, and you could hear him specifically saying how much room she had to the wall or to the apron, and telling her not 3-wide in the middle, giving so much more information on exactly which part of the track to put the car on. And you can do that. I'm sure all the pros in the Coke Series had that going on too. Whereas most of the time when we're doing something like NIS, you're looking at drive it. You just hear inside or outside, and you don't know if that outside guy is on the wall or is squeezing you down.
Yeah, the final caution, Bobby was leading. Ray was about to take it though, Alfala, and trying to get his second win in a row, but he came up second to Bobby. And Bobby Zielinski wins. Now, we expected him to win, but I don't know if we expected him to win at Pocono. I think we were looking at Road America, which is next week, right? But he gets it done on the oval, so that means he'll probably double up.
That kind of sends a message too, doesn't it? That he's not just a road ringer?
Well, he's won ovals before, and he's proved his point, but he started up front, and he stayed up front pretty much the whole race. He had the right strategy. And Bobby got it done, and well done to him.
And so this makes for an interesting point situation. Right now we have 9 winners, 10 make the playoffs. But Ray Alfala is actually the 10th winner, but he's 24 points behind 20th. So as of now, Steven Wilson is still sitting in the single points in position, with Michael Guest hanging in right behind him, 3 points out.
Yeah, and Graham Boland, Casey Kerwin, Corey Vincent, right within striking range below Michael Guest. And so Ray Alfala has really got to, drive up through those guys. And so he is. He's got a first and a second in the last couple races. So
the challenge is with that, not just the 24 points, but the fact that there's 4 other drivers in front of him, is that all of them have to have that many bad weeks as well, even if he gets on fire.
And I want to give a shout out We got detailed notes of the race, and of course, when Evan is here, we'd like to go a little more detailed, but couldn't make it this week. But I do want to give a shout out to Seth Eggert, Justin Malillo, Jacob Seelman, and even Evan Pasoko for contributing to our show notes via Twitter. And what I do is I'm watching the race, I'm looking at Twitter. Some of these guys are giving play-by-play, and we're using that for our show notes, and we do appreciate those guys. Thank you.
So eNASCAR was not done. The following day, we have something else to talk about. NASCAR announced the introduction of the all-new eNASCAR International Series that was placing a spotlight on the stars of its 3 international racing divisions across Europe, Mexico, and Canada. The new series is entitled the eNASCAR International iRacing Series. It consists of 3 races at historical facilities, which are Brands Hatch, COTA, and Daytona. And the field contains an even mix of drivers from the Whelen Euro Series, NASCAR Peak Mexico Series, and NASCAR's Pinty Series. And it had select drivers also from the 2021 Drive for Diversity class. I didn't watch the entire race, but I peeked in on it until I got involved in one of my own races. And it was pretty interesting because they were driving the Xfinity cars around Brands Hatch, which is not something you usually see. And also some of these drivers who are probably more used to something like a sports car, and they were driving that big heavy stock car, and you could see them having trouble with it.
Yeah, there were some out there that like totally miss a corner or something. It's kind of unexpected, but I saw just tidbits of it. But outside of a mid-race pit stop, nobody had anything for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series driver Simon Paleti in Wednesday's night race from Brands Hatch. He qualified 0.3 of a second ahead of Paul Joffrey, his closest competition, and went on to lead all but 3 laps on the Indy circuit to score the inaugural race win. So congratulations. I did see an article on Forbes.com covering this series as well. So it is getting some international press.
Something that I noticed as I was watching it, the Pinty Series, or maybe the Mexico Series, the numbers are placed differently. You could see some of the paint jobs. It was a completely different standard, and they were kind of more above the left wheel and quite a bit smaller. And it didn't look too bad.
Okay. Next up, Road to Pro.
So Chris Overland, he tweeted out the unofficial top 70 transfers that are going to be moving on to the pro qualifying series. So actually, he was one of them. Chris finished 33rd in the series. Top qualifier was Brandon McKissick, and number 71, who was a hard luck, is Aaron Rodgers, who missed it by 1 point. That's a tough break there, man. So, looks like the top 70 is set for the next round, and we'll move on.
Now, one other note I'm going to mention is Anthony Burrows. He's 27th on this roster, and he's into the second round. Now he is a Coke driver already, but my understanding is he's still going to run the Road to Pro to qualify in for next year. So he still has to qualify in, just like everyone else.
So if he doesn't finish in the top 20 in the Coke series, then he's got to run through this series. So it's kind of interesting.
He's not going to make top 20. I think that's a given, right?
Exactly.
So that means he has to do it via the Road to Pro. So he is qualified for the snake splits, and he's got to finish, the top 20 of that. And so he still got to perform, but he had a great first race, so I expect him to do well.
So a couple other notables, former drivers from the Coke Series, Colin Keister, he's in there. Brandon Cattell, he's going to be moving on as well.
Yeah. And the ones that didn't make it, did you take a look at those?
David Shieldhouse just missed it by 12 points. And was that Ryan Lowe, 80 points out? He missed tough. It too. Yeah.
It's going to be fun to watch. I think that's tonight, right? Yeah, I think it is.
Tony, I'm going to steal the next topic from you because I was there. JR Motorsports unveiled its iRacing sponsored number 8 Chevy Camaro that Josh Berry drove last weekend at the NASCAR race. Yeah, I saw it. He was running up through the field. It was pretty neat. I also saw a Simcraft car there as well. I don't remember who was driving that one, but iRacing was running in the Xfinity race. It was really cool.
I love that paint. I wonder who came up with it. But it's got a slant look to it. The red, white, blue colors of iRacing. Got a Dale Earnhardt slanted 8. It kind of reminds me of Earnhardt. Of course, coming out of Junior Motorsports, that's no mystery why that looks like that. It's a beauty.
And then, Chris, they also went to Milwaukee.
Did they go there, or are they going there this weekend? Anyway, I probably read it wrong. They've already been there. But Ty Majeski took the iRacing colors to Milwaukee to race, I think some modifieds or something. It's kind of a
late model.
Yeah, late model, which is cool. And I'm sure I'll be seeing him at a short track near me, which will be awesome because I've always rooted for this dude and seems like a great guy, but his NASCAR showing has not been spectacular lately. Man, actually, what's that? Go ahead.
He was the one who was running the Simcraft truck or car. Now that I remember, I think it was a truck.
I've been with the Cup boys. He's kind of got a few shots now, and they weren't all, blame on a not so fast car. Yeah, I know, but some of the stuff wasn't on his car.
Well, so Chris, he did go on to win Milwaukee on June 20th, right after competing at Nashville. So again, that particular car with iRacing on the hood, I can't even count how many wins this year. It's got to be a dozen now.
Well, and that's what I was just about to say too. He just does nothing but whip their asses in this thing, and pretty much anything he drives on the short track. That's why I was kind of expecting a better showing. I said even like in the kind of the crappy cars, some of it hasn't. The stuff that's been happening on the track hasn't been car related.
Somebody needs to get him up there.
Yeah, he needs a good shot. And the bad thing is he's going up against he's going up against the Larsons and the Bells, and it's a rough time to be trying to get into the sport. It's
always a transition when you jump from dominating late models to coming up into the national series, and suddenly you're racing around for 28th and not able to just muscle around everybody.
Well, Jordan and Hamlin, they need to take a quick look at this guy. They need to make a change.
That'd be a good fit.
And it is going to Milwaukee. It was me that read the tense wrong.
Saturday, there's a 100% Cup Series full distance league that follows the Cup schedule. It's called the 100% Cup Series. Would like to invite you to put your racecraft and setup knowledge to the test over the course of a full 36 race season. They are a competitive group of NASCAR enthusiasts who are looking to add sim racers that are searching for that 100% distance oval racing that's hard to find. Full NASCAR distance is the next level to the NIS with long races and a consistent core of competitors. Race sessions take place Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, Saturday's a kind of an off week traditionally, or off day, so maybe this works.
I'd like to know if they have the NASCAR 100% rule.
You have to, the 100% effort rule, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you can't police that.
Also, it maybe if they have bathroom breaks scheduled in there, right? Actual stage break where Ray just pulls in and gets up and goes.
It's too much racing for me. I'm not a fan of the 100% races when we do have them, usually. So I can't imagine doing it every week. Holy cow.
2 hours is a good length for an online race.
It is.
Right?
Agreed.
When it getting longer for special events, yeah, maybe like when we came up to the Coke 600, I drink water just like nonstop, right? And I specifically made sure that I went about 3 or 4 hours before the race, not drinking, and I felt like dehydrated because like my body's like, hey, where's the water? Because I'm taking a gulp every hour.
I mean, it's good that we have long distance races because it makes them special. Like the Daytona 500, what makes winning the Daytona 500 special? Well, one of the reasons is it's one of the long races.
Well, we can move from long races to long tracks and talk with Josh Rogers, or not really talk, but listen to him talk about setting up your car. Overtake has posted a setup tutorial video that has the two-time PESC champion Josh Rogers, and he gives you some tips and tricks on getting faster. Josh will show you how to handle the Nordschleife using his championship winning car, the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup, as his example.
And he doesn't mince meat here. I mean, he tells you exactly what he's doing and what he's thinking. The big thing I was hearing was do your braking and then turn. Don't brake while turning. That was the big thing I got out of it. That
is pretty standard road course. But you only get so much grip on the tire, right? So if you use too much of it for turning and braking, you lose grip. So you slam on the brakes and you get almost if you ever look at the telemetry, it should be a kind of a wedge shape for those of you watching. You spike it up really hard and then you trail off. The more you turn the wheel, the less you can press the brake or you'll spin out.
Isn't this kind of like asking Pavarotti if you can sing like him? Teach me to sing like you. It's
right.
It's not. There's a lot of talent that's involved. It's not just him explaining things. I mean, it's good to see what he does, and I'm sure you can learn a lot from it. But you're not going to be bumping cars with Josh Rogers anytime soon. Probably he's just the best there is.
Yeah, and the talent means that he's the most consistent and the least mistakes and times the throttle and times the brake perfectly and puts the wheel exactly where it needs to be with the uttermost consistency. But some of the concepts that he does use, they're real life concepts. You can go to a real road racing school and they're going to tell you those same things. But yeah, there's talent and the amount of practice he puts into it as well.
It's a good opportunity to see his setup, what wheel he's using, triples, and of course the bright purple carpet, which is just fascinating to me that they race in a purple room, but it's so cool.
You could almost say you'd flip out for it.
Yeah, you might not have a chance to race with Josh Rogers, but I bet you'd have a good chance at bumping into Alejandro Fernandez if you hop in a rally car race. But he has this, or I guess iRacing posted this on their Instagram page of him racing, looks like a Atlanta rallycross track in the Beetle. And I haven't raced on this track, but he kind of slides wide in a corner and clips this weird blue curb that's protecting a sign. And he does a perfect 360-degree front flip, lands on an access road, and gets back on the track without losing a spot. It's pretty awesome to watch. Definitely check out the feed. I'm sure he lost a spot from the slowdown that he got from the penalty, but yeah, it was awesome.
That was the thing. Didn't lose a spot either. I mean, he just kept on going.
I was expecting a spectacular crash, and it was an amazing trick instead.
And I bet you he could go back and try to do it on purpose and never be able to do it.
Yeah, no way. I'm sure he did.
How do you set up an A car, Brian?
Well, if you want to figure it out, iRacing staff member Matt Holden, he posted a mini guide in the forums to give drivers some setup tips for the upcoming season with the main topics. Number one, don't reinvent the wheel. So these are just he expands on all of these main topics in this thread and to help you set up your car better. So don't reinvent the wheel. Number two, get the heights set first. Number three, rear spring split is your friend. Number 3A, spring split and right rear coil bind. Number four, this is one of Dave's favorite, ballast. Number five, ignore the wear. Temperatures are where it's at. Number six, don't ignore the shocks. Number seven, keep adjustments simple, capital simple, all caps. So, yeah, those are some of the main topics that he goes through in the setup tips. So if you guys are out there trying to learn how to, make adjustments and set up your car for open races, you might want to check this link out in the forums from Matt Holden.
Yeah, when I was really trying to learn to adjust the sets last year, I could never get the heights right. So every time I touched a set, if I really made a change other than ballast and right rear spring, I would destroy it.
Well, that was the key, is get the heights right first and then do the other stuff. And that was one of the keys of this article. But this is absolute gold if you want to learn setups. I mean, this is like the launching point of gold if you want to learn anything about that list Brian just stated, because behind every topic title that Brian stated is an entire description of what to do and how to do it and why. And I read through this like maybe even twice, but my brain has a hard time absorbing this stuff. I mean, I've never been able to really get it, but if you're capable of absorbing it, this is a great article, and we do have a link in our show notes.
So apparently Cup Car has a strange off throttle, kind of like a engine braking. James Vining is asking the community in the forums if anyone else has noticed the sound, the off throttle sound. It says go hit throttle quickly to roughly 7K, let off, and notice how long it takes to drop back to idle. Apparently it is a thing. I've not noticed it. But staff member Matt Holden said that it's something that they will look at.
Boy, to pick up something like this, James really knows his engines by sound.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what becomes of this. I don't know if I've noticed, is Pocono any different, like getting into two with how much brake we're using or anything like that? Because if there's engine braking going on, you'd be using a lot less brake.
You don't really get real engine braking in there unless you downshift.
True.
Right?
But I think that's what he's saying, is like if I'm at the end of I'm going into turn one at Pocono and I'm full on the throttle and I let off, the engine RPM's not going down as quickly as it used to. That's what he's saying.
So we've seen a lot of new road courses come in lately, and we also did just add Nashville, right, as a U.S. oval, but there was a discussion with iRacing on the iRacing Drivers World Facebook page, and there's a discussion asking if they should start pushing for ovals from the Peak NASCAR Mexico Series. They look the same as some of the other tracks, but from top down. But if you watch some of the video, you can tell that they definitely behave differently. I would say as long as they're not a mile and a half, because we do need more short tracks.
Now, if you go to the link, there's pictures of some other tracks, and the one that intrigues me is the Autodromo Miguel E. Abed, and it looks like a really long Martinsville. Like it's got the paper. It definitely looks like a paper clip, but it's got like a longer paper clip with longer straightaways. I mean, that one looks fascinating.
It's also egg-shaped, so it has a little bit of a Gateway Darlington feel as well.
Yeah. Looks fun, and what a neat, I never really thought about, oh yeah, we got ovals in other countries too. We need to consider those too. All right, forum updates. We have a light theme has arrived, and there's light and dark themes, and they're now available based on your operating system preferences. So so the new forums came out and they're black or dark. And then one day I turned on the computer and the forums were white, and I hadn't even changed the setting. And I'm like digging through the settings, looking I want to go back to dark. And I'm like, I couldn't find it. And I even did a search, and somebody said that you can do both. And so I had to look a little closer, and it's based on your Windows settings. So you go into Windows 10 and you search for light or dark theme, and you switch it to which one you want, and the forum will follow whatever that color is. So there's been some other changes that they've fixed on the new forums, but that was some people didn't like the dark mode. They were absolutely against it or had vision issues that made it very difficult. So it was good that you can at least get to where we have both and accommodate everybody.
So, Mike, after a few weeks of the new forums, I know you delve into them quite a bit for a lot of content for the show and stuff. How has your opinion changed, or is it the same as when it first switched over?
Well, they changed one notification where you could sign up for a particular category and get notifications. I've been getting emails off of that and trying to sort through them. But I also was able to bookmark all 50. It narrowed it down to about 50 people that we're following. A comment page. So everybody has a comment page, and everybody has a discussion page. The discussions are ones that you start, and then the comments are ones that you've commented on. And so if you go to your personal page and you go to those pages, you'll see what you've done. So I basically bookmark those 50 people, and I look at their discussions and comments about every 2 days. Every day was too much, and so I'm kind of trying to find a good medium. But I'm basically getting the same content I was before by doing that, and it's working out. Thank God.
So, several of the iRacing forum regulars, so the guys who are big on these forums have been posting a lot. They kind of bid a fond farewell to the now retired old style forums, including this was a really well written reflection from Derek Spears, who highlighted the innovations of the sim racing hardware that had been birthed in the forums. Everything from the direct drive wheels to wind simulators, are things that he talked about in this. And so Derek Spears obviously is the owner of Derek Spears Designs. He makes great button boxes and other hardware. And so I'm going to read the topic sentence of his piece. It says, this is Derek Spears writing, "It's my opinion that iRacing hardware forums was the real birthplace of sim racing hardware innovations." So 2 examples come to mind: direct drive wheel, courtesy of Philip Jensen, Van Rusberg, aka Bino. Bino, we refer to him quite a bit, and hydraulic pedals from Emery Edmond. And so he writes this letter bidding a farewell to the forums, and how these forums have really spurred the imagination of some developers and engineer types who have really focused on making better hardware for the sim. And he thinks a lot of that stuff was birthed in the forums, and that's pretty cool.
I mean, that's where the ideas came up with, in these forums and the working together on different projects. I mean, he points out the wind sim and triple screen racing was really perfected as well. And what's interesting, the last part, I'll go ahead and read this last paragraph. It says, the iRacing hardware forums have become a veritable repository of the most complete body of knowledge for sim racing. It's a shame it has to close now. The new forums are a different experience, perhaps with a steep learning curve for some folks who are accustomed to how things are done. Hopefully the experience will be valuable, as this one has been for the many, many years that has been operating. But I think you're right. Derek Spears said it so well. A big part of sim racing for a lot of people is the hardware, is getting that rig built and getting every piece that you want and making it perfect. And what do I buy? What not to buy? I mean, how do you figure that out? Well, it was the forums, I tell you what, and podcasts like ours and other sources. But there's not a lot of sources, and so the forum was key.
There's Facebook groups now as well, right? So it's not a complete vacuum, and there will be definitely things that come in to take care of that niche.
I bid adieu.
We'll have a moment of silence for the forums. I'll put it in post.
Oh, we got somebody here asking what is next for content. And I'll be honest, I tried reading this over a couple of times. It's not so much content, but context. I'm not understanding what the context of this post is all about.
I think I got it.
Okay.
He's basically trying to say we're going to get more because we still have the iRacing Pro Invitational Series coming, 5 more races with NBC. So if you recall with Fox, with the Pro Invitational, we got tons of content because of it. Updates to tracks and so forth. Chicago, Nashville, Coda, Darlington update, Dirt Bristol.
The next gens.
Right. And so what's going to happen in the fall here with, or whenever, NBC picks up the baton and they're going to do 5 more races. Are we going to get updates like maybe the Phoenix, for example? We really need to rescan a Phoenix.
Or at least a reconfiguration, even if they just keep the same data, right? We do already have the Indy Road Course. It's already a part. Several of the other series run there already. A Watkins rescan would be interesting. Doesn't it have less pits now than it used to? More pavements?
Yeah, so there's some opportunities for sure, right?
So I get what you were saying, Tony, but what I think he was trying to say is that these broadcasts from Fox have driven some innovations and new releases and stuff, new content for iRacing, and he's just wondering if when they switch over to NBC, which would make sense with Dale Jr. is going to be there. I'm sure he's going to be into this. He's not only a broadcaster, but he's on the payroll at iRacing.
He's got skin on both sides, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that they're going to try to make him as happy as possible when it moves to NBC, and maybe it'll drive some new content for the series.
Looking forward to it.
And next we have just a reminder about the GoFundMe for Gary Corbett. I think it's up to around, it's over $14,000 now, $14,395. I think the old bastards alone, Steve was saying yesterday, has raised I think over $2,600. But if you don't have the money to donate, just share this with your friends, just everybody on your contact list. They've had worse spam in their lives. And because there is not a better cause, better guy to donate to. We had Gary on the Aftermath a little while back. If you want to get to know him a little bit better, I think Tony, it was called like 88 Keys or something like that.
88 is for the keys.
88 is for the keys. That's right. He is a musician, composer. He played keyboard for Kiss and Cinderella. I think he wrote. I might screw up which 80s pop star, but I believe it was Debbie Gibson. He wrote a song or some songs for. This guy
he did some work with
Cyndi
Debbie
Lauper.
Gibson.
Cyndi Lauper, that's right. He did work with both. That's right. The music he wrote was for Cyndi Lauper. So this guy, I mean, if you had a penny for every time this guy has tickled your ears, if you gave him that, I mean, you don't have the money to give him that. So like, let's just try to support this guy. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know until just the other day, but Steve said his wife works in the she's a event planner. So I mean, they got, besides the cancer kicking their butt, and that treatment is going to be a fortune. I mean, obviously last year was very bad for them anyway, so they didn't need this. So if you can help. If not, just share the crap out of it.
Yeah. Let's help out Gary, guys.
Gary's the reason I can say Tag Hoyer now.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I forgot about that. Yeah, he's our grammar police for the podcast. He's the reason that we try a little harder and probably piss off a few less foreign drivers.
Yeah, thanks, Gary, for keeping us honest. I appreciate that. Okay, podcast housekeeping. Let's talk Aftermath. What's up next, Tony?
Well, I don't know what's up next, and I really don't know what just happened last weekend. But we did record, and we put it out there for everybody to listen to. I don't think we chased as many squirrels last as we did the one before that. One thing I do know is we need to get a guest on. We seem to be a little bit more focused when we have guests to talk to. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't think we got anything in the pipeline. A lot of it we just kind of figure it out at the last second anyway, so we'll go with that plan.
Seems to work.
I enjoyed the show last week. You guys were talking quite a bit about your new hardware purchases and how you like and putting it all together. It was a good show.
Oh yeah, you got a new rig.
I actually listened to it. It was really hot at the track, so I actually listened to it sitting under the grandstands because you had to get there, a couple hours early and sit around, and got through it pretty quick.
It's a good podcast to listen to in shitty situations, I guess. I know Steve Thompson listens to it every Sunday while he's shoveling horse shit, so.
He's got to keep his mind focused on the task, right?
That's right.
Don't forget our new website. It's actually 6-month anniversary coming up here next week. 6 months. We've had this iRacersLounge.com where you can actually go get a link to everything we talk about. You can see the hardware we talk about. We have pictures, links. Thanks to Brian McCubbin for editing, helping me put this website together. Between him and I, it's really gone well, and I think it's been a success. So check it out because it'll enhance your listening experience. Don't forget we're at Midwest Simulations as far as a coupon code, 10% off iRacers Lounge for those spotlights. We're still over at PMN. Go check us over there, and then Fantasy.
Hey guys, real quick, I just wanted to mention I couldn't make the show the past 2 weeks, and it's the first time I've listened to the show on my own as a completed project since I started doing these shows, and I didn't realize how great a job David does getting all these sound bites in and getting everything sounding great. So Tony or David, you're doing an awesome job on that.
Yeah, kudos.
Thank you. That was a sniffle sound. Tony can tell us about some fantasy now.
I don't think I want to talk fantasy this week. Chris, why don't you talk fantasy? You actually did something. I did nothing except stink up the joint.
Did you not pick Larson?
You know what? I should have probably went back and listened to our podcast when you said just pick Hendrick and who is the other guy? Busch, Kyle Busch, right?
Yeah, I think so. What?
Yeah, because that's what you did.
Did any of y'all go with the 2?
No, that I did not.
Because I sent y'all intel from the practice that they were going back on the scales, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, I don't know where my head was at. It was not in racing, and it was not in fantasy. I probably picked a great golf lineup. Yeah, like it was terrible. Chris, I can't believe it. For like the first time in like 2 years, you're ahead of me in the standings.
The only problem is, dude, I've burned up a lot of those Hendrix.
Oh, that is
Everybody's got to run out of Larson at some point, right?
Dude, Mike talked some trash a few weeks back, and I was like, all right, man. And I've just been burning all the picks. I don't know, like I don't know that I'm gonna have the staying power. Like it's gonna look like a lot like the previous years. I think, Tony, you're gonna have the picks here at the end, but I'm enjoying it right now.
Well, here's the thing, like you may be burning through all those picks, but you know that hot streak is gonna come to an end at some point here. And if you've been able to maximize, and I know you certainly did maximize this past week. And yeah, you've been getting some good points, even though you're burning up those guys. Now is obviously the time to be doing that, and I am not capitalizing on that. So, like time will tell. Is if that was the right play. I'm kind of leaning towards like I probably should have been doing a little bit more what you were doing, but we'll see what happens, I guess.
So looking at the weekly standings, you were 29th, Tony. I was 30th. Mr. T-Bob was first. Justin Time 9 second. Laird Racing, Justin Laird third. Conklin Speedworks fourth. Trick Dickel fifth. Scotty Boy sixth. And then Chris Jedi McFly seventh. Stephen Lowen eighth. Here for the SR ninth. iRating Keeps Suffering 10th. Greg was 11th.
Trick Dickle's climbing in the standings too. Who is that guy?
Okay, now Tony's got something for the button box.
Does that wrap up the fantasy? Let's move on. We're going to talk some hardware, software. For some reason, I'm suddenly getting all the pedal assignments. Pro Race V2s. They're hydraulic. They're from Gridline Sim Racing, and they're introducing these new V2s, and they're from OBP Motorsports. And I can tell you, looking at them now that I know what hydraulics are supposed to look like, that they're hydraulic pedals. All we've got though really is an Instagram post, and I don't know if I can dive much more into the details. It looks like the throttle and the brake are running off of the same master cylinder. So I don't know how that works or not, but yeah, here we go. Check them out. Looks like an interesting option.
It's a tease. I mean, they have a link to a website, but it says coming soon. But yeah, they look pretty nice.
There's no clutch in this particular set. It's just a two pedal set. And they're pretty close together too. One of the things, the show for the next month is going to be a commercial for SimCoach, right? And they did give me a good discount and some good customer service, so they've earned it. I've got you can put the pedals on their mounting plate anywhere you want. So I've got the brake and the throttle really well spaced out, and actually the clutch in a position where if I wanted to try to learn to do heel toe, I could as well.
And I got an email from SimCoach this week that said something to the effect of free 30-day trial or something like that.
Yeah, I think I'd pass on these. Like you said, there doesn't look like there's any adjustability. And honestly, you could probably go to a machine shop and say, I need pedals, and this is what they could build for you.
They look really close together now that you point it out.
Yeah, and the only adjustability it looks like is just moving the pedal pads a little bit. And if there's no adjustability there, what's going to be in for brake pressure and pedal pressure? It doesn't look like much. Like I said, David has like 5 knobs on it. It looks, and they're right there in the front. It just looks Totally different.
Well, the ones I've got, the way you actually adjust it is when it compresses the slave cylinder, you can either put a spring in there or these actually rubber pieces that it squeezes, and that it's how you basically control what it feels like. So the clutch and the brake are actually the exact same design, but one has a spring and one has all these really hard either metallic or rubber pieces that you press against when you're squeezing
Now,
the brake.
I found the link to the right website, actually. If you look at the post, there's a link to the actual manufacturer, and they have a website, and so it's called obpltd.com, and those particular pedals are 908 euros.
No way. A lot. How much is a euro in dollars?
1,200-ish.
Oh crap! No way! No way!
Wait, no, euro is pretty even with American dollars, so
Silver
it's
or
still
black?
right around 900. Yeah, it's the pound that jumps about 30%.
You can get a wider brake pad for 35 more, or you can get them bled for 25 more.
If you get a wider pad, it's going to be touching the accelerator bill.
And if it's an international shipment, you cannot get them pre-bled. You have to put the brake fluid in yourself. Brake fluid can't be shipped across borders.
Good point.
You need a flushing sound effect, David.
Hang on, my bathroom's not too far from here. I'll do a Tony style sound effect.
So next up, I have Extreme Sim Racing is glad to be a provider for the exceptional quality of Sim Magic products. So as an official reseller of Sim Magic for the American market, they're focused on bringing you the most complete and professional sim racing experience. So those Sim Magic wheelbases that we've covered a few times actually. I think they're Chinese, isn't that right?
Hong Kong.
They're Hong Kong. So they're not. Extreme Sim Racing is going to be an official distributor of the Sim Magic products.
And they're not the only U.S. distributor. I know there's Jeff Ford from FEG. He was the first one. He's the guy who builds all the computers on Facebook. And then Darren Ganji and his company, I forget the name of it. He does Sim Motion, I think is his company. And he also sells them. And now this company, Extreme Sim Racing.
That's always a good sign that if you have multiple distributors on a product that you feel like it's a product that has some backing, instead of there's a lot of stuff that comes straight out of China that you can't get parts for. But if it's a place that's servicing it here, you can at least get a replacement entire unit, right, if something goes wrong.
Well, that's the thing. A year ago or however long when this came out, I think our reservation at the time, it wasn't under warranty. There was no warranty, I don't think, at that time. And this company, right up front, they're saying 1-year warranty, free shipping in the U.S., U.S. tech support. And so that's what we were looking for behind this product before, hey, maybe this is viable for the sim racer to buy into. To be honest with you, I mean, I've had a lot of problems with my wheel. And if I had to buy one, I've kind of been thinking about which one am I going to go with, because I'm certainly not looking at Fanatec. And this is the one I'm looking at. Maybe I'm going to buy into Sim Magic.
This would be the last one I'd look at, honestly, because I'm looking at their prices, and they're not much cheaper. They're actually more expensive than some of the other stuff. Like not going Fanatec.
VRS.
Yeah, VRS or SimuCube. SimuCube was the way I was going to go before VRS came along. But yeah, these guys, like I said, they're not any cheaper, and they're Chinese. Like, if they would have came along a couple years ago with these prices and a distributor in the U.S., it probably would have been a different story.
Yeah, I mean, to get the base with a oval style wheel is $1,550.
Well, you can get the regular wheel there. It says for $1,099.
Oh, the cheaper one. Okay, yeah. That's not too bad. 1,100 out the door.
But yeah, still, that's what you're looking at for VRS or SimuCube that's been doing it over here and isn't Chinese.
Good point. I think we got an international flavor to the show today, Tony.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the first one we've got from Turkey. It's from a company called Ortombo. And they offer a variety of sim racing products, including the Apex Pro F1 GT. Geez, you guys did this on purpose. Yaris Simulator Roo Cockpit. Which you can have for a bunch of money. That's in Turkish. But let's get to the important part here. This is a bit of a different looking rig, and I love the color combination, and I'm okay with it until you get to the pedal thing there. We've covered a rig similar to this, like it kind of looks like, yeah, we got a cool rig happening, and then, oh crap, we got to do something with the pedals, so let's just slap this here. But it's a tubular design until you get to the pedal mounts. I don't know what they got going on there. Some sort of aluminum bracket system deal. But the rest is tubular, black and orange coloring. Man.
It's interesting. You describe it perfectly because it looks like the brake where you put the brakes is an afterthought. Like it's not even designed with the same materials. It's a different color. It's a different material. And they basically have the place where you put the brakes underneath the tubular rig, kind of propping it up into the air.
That's what it looks like. It's propping it up. That's the perfect way to describe it.
It's just a cage or a rack, a two wide rack space bracket.
It's an interesting design. I don't think we've ever seen one like this.
I'm pretty sure that FOV is going to be garbage, too. It looks like the monitor mount's not very adjustable, and it looks like it's way too far away.
It looks like it's too high as well.
Yeah, yep. That, it looks like you might be able to adjust. It looks like you can probably drop that, but you're not going to be able to bring it any closer.
Let's go to another continent, Chris.
Yeah, and this one I'd actually probably... it's probably not such a bad deal. We're going to go to South Africa for the EG Evolve GT1. It's a racing sim rig with a solid Superwood MDF base construction. The rig has an optional gear shift mount and a keyboard table that easily moves out of the way. The finish is of high standard, wrapped with PVC foil, providing a durable and premium finish. The racing seat is optional, it says. Which I don't know for the price. I believe the price, they have it priced out without the seat for 5,000 South African rands, which translates to about $345, which isn't bad. This is basically what I would call a Walmart rig, would be the way I describe it. Because if you're talking, however they describe that wood with the PVC coating, that is Walmart wood. That's the pressed wood with the plastic coating on it. But aside from that, yeah, go ahead, Tony.
Sorry, Chris. I wanted to jump in there. That it's an MDF base construction, which that stuff is extremely strong stuff. You're not going to go wrong with this. And at that price point, a $300 price point, you can. Hold on. That's Canadian dollars, so it's probably like $50 US. So this is very, very similar to the Rikmatech plans that you can buy for I think Rikmatech sells them for like $30. But the keyboard tray on this is banging. I love it. What a great idea. The price point on this is actually not bad because the design is solid. You're not going to go wrong with this. You can put a direct drive on top of that, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, the design is great. So you're saying it's not the pressed Walmart wood?
No, it's no, that pressed Walmart wood. It's almost like shavings that you'd give to your hamster.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. No. MDF is more like sawdust. Finely pressed and a lot of glue. Extremely strong.
Oh,
really
nice.
Really nice plywood, basically.
Yeah.
It's
better.
It's a medium density fiber board is MDF. I think what you were talking about is particle board. The Walmart stuff falls apart real easy.
I mean, if you were making a rig out of plywood or MDF or Walmart board or whatever you call it, I mean, and you just had a stack of it in a table saw, and you had to come up with a design. I mean, this is a good design, I think.
Yeah, you're going to be limited in adjustability, but that's one of the things you give up in a low price point.
Yeah. Now I built Lisa's is the Ricmatech from the Ricmatech plans that you buy. You know, it's combination MDF 2x4. So that's like her rig is extremely solid, but yes, it does lack the adjustability. But 300 versus 1,000 that you pay for 80/20. There's give and take.
Do you know about what you paid like to do it yourself? Because like I said, it is a pretty similar rate compared to their $350.
Yeah, it was like I think we paid about 300, 350, all said and done.
Wow. So yeah, that's a really great price. Then.
No, that's what I was saying. You'd be hard pressed to. I would just buy this. Funny, right? I would buy this because it saves you all that trouble. Plus, you get the cool ass keyboard tray, which the Ricmatech does not come with for $300.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see a sim company out of South Africa. I love it.
Don't go for shipping. Shipping will suck.
Buy this if you live in South Africa.
You might notice that the shifter is on the wrong side.
All right, guys. The Vive 2 VR headset has been hitting people's hands, and had some reviews on the forums about it, and some of them were not that great. I'm going to go over a couple of them here. The first one is from Brett McBurney. He posted, "Oh dear, just got my Vive Pro 2. I'm so disappointed. The Vive Pro 2 is very uncomfortable. It rests on my nose, which hurts after a while. As others said, the iRacing tracking issue is dreadful." Tony Rickard posts a similar experience. "I have returned mine in favor of my G1. And Rusty Ferris posts, "I've tried the Vive Pro 2 for 2 days and it was dreadful. It really made me appreciate my G2's resolution and sound. VP2 is already on its way back." Now, those are some of the negative ones. I did go through this entire thread, and there were some that were better. Some people said it's uncomfortable at first, but you kind of get used to it. Some people said the resolution the field of view is a lot better than some of the headsets that are out there. The G2, it doesn't have a super wide field of view. So there were some mixed reviews on there. It seems like the biggest issue is comfort at this point, and go from there.
Josh mods this, right?
There were several people who modded added foam or different things to the headset to make the comfort issue acceptable. I saw some of those.
I think Josh is running this one, and just the other day he was in the middle of a race and the tracking went off and he was driving. He didn't have the recenter button set up correctly yet or not, and then he set that up and still had to drop because it was just freaking out panic wise and just constantly changing its orientation.
Yeah, he was saying, "I'm in the middle of the car."
That sounds more like software. Hopefully it can be patched up in software.
It might be those sensors too, because on my Rift S, if the sensors get a little dirty, it starts to get jerky.
Is he using the base stations? Do you know, David?
I don't.
This Vive Pro, you're supposed to use those cube sensors that they have, which kind of like really, if you didn't have them already, it really made it really expensive to get it with those sensors. So if he's trying to run it without those, I can see why the tracking would get whacked out.
I love the nature background in your audio, by the way, Brian. You can see it on Discord as well.
Yeah, just so our audio listeners know, Brian's sitting outside while recording this podcast. That's pretty cool.
Looks like we've got some more wood, Tony.
Yeah, now, Mike, I imagine you put this one up here. This doesn't go to a specific rig, but to the group itself.
Well, it's the post. There's a wood rig that this guy built out of 2x4s, and it's motion.
Okay, so we are looking at the same thing.
Check the video.
Oh, yeah. It's like an F1 style rig that he's built completely from wood on a 2DF setup.
How do you even describe it?
Well, this is just it. Like, it sits kind of up, and it's got the two sets that it's sitting on. Yeah, I'm kind of struggling. Like, it's
well, the cockpit is on a pivot. It's on a pivot point that's right under his butt, and the entire cockpit is sitting on that pivot point. But up front, he's got two arms, actuator arms, that are moving the front about, up and down, left and right.
So he's getting 4 DOF with just two actuators?
Well, I don't know if that's true for DOF, because it is on a pivot point at his butt, but it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I guess it's actually really only 2, right? Because the back would always be slave to the front.
Yeah, the pivot looks like some kind of universal joint at the thing under the seat there.
Like from a car.
Yeah, those arms don't look super strong, do they? Is it just me, or?
They're like a half inch, right?
Well, the actuator. Okay, maybe I just
don't
need
know.
a good video of it.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah. Well, it's 2 DOF because it's just those 2 arms moving, and then where it's like a U joint pivot point that he's got right underneath his butt there. But I mean, it's a very clean looking setup. Like, you take away all the motion part of it, and you cut a pretty nice looking wooden F1 style rig.
And it's exclusive 2x4s, pretty much. I mean, there's some other kind of boards in there, but pretty much everything is molded from those 2x4s.
Yeah. He's done a nice job cleaning the boards up, making them look a little half decent. Could have done a little nicer job, hiding some of the connectors that he used. Put them on the inside maybe, but whatever. It's pretty badass.
Throw a coat of paint on it, or something.
Well, we'll take a short break from our international tour of hardware and jump over onto the software side. We have the Virtual Race Car Engineer. It's the first and only software package that takes the role of your very own race engineer. It fine-tunes your existing baseline setup and to get the most out of the car, offering whole lap and corner-specific advice. It'll also get the very best out of your setup. In the process, the driver tailors the setup to his individual needs. The end result is comfortable, reliable, and fast race setups ready to challenge for top positions. Now, when I took a look and kind of browsed through the website, and I think it's going to be pretty road heavy and not particularly handy for the real intricacies of balancing an asymmetric car for an oval.
Yeah, but if you're looking for something as a tool for setups, this might be something to take a peek at. Now, I didn't get a long look at this. Somebody on our team put this up in the chat. I don't know who it was.
Well,
we were having that up there.
Yeah, we were having a discussion about the easiest way to figure out if the car is sealed or not, which is the thing I struggled with on adjusting sets last year.
And so this is software you can run on a tablet. So there's a tablet style interface, fast results with correct advice, lap logging and reporting. It does say both road course and oval style racetrack supported.
May have to give it a test just to see what it does. But if there's anybody who's used it, send us in an email and tell us how it works for you.
We'll talk more about it because nobody on our team has actually tried this, I don't think. But it's out there. And what else is out there is, wow, this wheel, man, the line between real and sim has really been blurred in this situation with Fanatec and their new Bentley GT3 wheel. The release date and price have yet to be released. Speculation I've seen is $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh,
Okay, show's over. That's a showstopper. We'll see you next week.
Jesus, who cares? That's stupid.
You don't want a Bentley wheel? Oh, come on. It has a full display, an oval display, not a square display. It's a special circular display in the center of the wheel.
So, Brian, how about the SimPlace GT3? No, yeah, that's pretty ridiculous, price-wise. Denny Hamlin.
It's
will
a
probably
speculation. I don't know what it will be.
Well, no, Denny Hamlin or Brian will buy it.
I'm getting to. Although I might buy this next one from the Fanatec owners group. There's been somebody was joking around and said that he's loving his new Bentley rim. Well, it's the Fanatec V2 rim with a Bop-It attached to the front of it. It kind of looks like the same thing with the big center display. It's got the big Bop-It written on it. It's kind of funny. I thought it was really cute. Tyler, actually, our teammate Tyler sent that to me. I wanted to share it with everybody. I thought it was pretty funny.
And so the video that they put out was something. It shows the race car driver in the Bentley sports car going around the track, the real race car. He gets out. He takes his wheel with him from the real race car, walks inside and sticks it on his sim rig and goes sim racing.
That's a really expensive Bop-It button.
You know, I'm not big on the display. This next one, Brian, man, it looks good.
Yeah, this one's called the SimPlace Limited Edition GT3. It's now available for pre-order, man. But if you want this, hop on it quick, because from what I read on their post, they're making 5. That's right, 5 of these units. That's it. So they're not kidding when they call it limited. So if that's something you want to get into, get in quick.
They had the perfect chance and they blew it. This is so close to a Batman symbol. They could have had the coolest freaking wheel.
Turn it into the Bat wheel, right?
Yeah. Like make 5 of those. Those are cool.
Oh, if you look at that blue part, Tony, it looks like the Bat symbol almost.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know nothing about this wheel, but yeah, I kind of like it. It's got that Batman vibe. So
yeah. Now we've seen this shape wheel before, right? So they've got to have most of the infrastructure to build this probably already in place, and there's just something about this that they're doing differently to make it limited.
It looks to me like one of those masquerade masks, like from Eyes Wide Shut type of deal. You know, those high society masquerade type of things.
Yeah, the GT cars, the GT actual wheels, they tend to like to have the more complete rim, I guess. I don't know if it's for durability or feel, but then the bottom is also cut out so that it doesn't hit your legs.
Oh, David, this is the perfect wheel for you. They take the top part of that wheel off so you can see.
Zing.
Huh.
I wear VR, man. The wheel doesn't get in the way.
Eyes wide shut. Mr. Fancy Rig up there talks like he hasn't been to those fancy parties. He knows from experience. He's like, that looks like my mask.
I go to San Francisco once in a while.
I'll never hear the Rice-A-Roni commercial the same again. So we're showing off all these wheels and international rigs. iRacing suggested maybe you should show off your rig. Tony, would you like to show off your rig?
Well, what might be a cool thing and to send in, I might actually do it, is get a picture of the setup. So, the his and hers rig set up side by side.
Hell yeah, that's a good idea.
So this is an epic tweet because of the replies, guys. I mean, if we ever want to do rig reviews, we got hundreds of them here. And if you just scroll down and look at some of the rigs, I mean, man, there is some gold here, I'm telling you. Like, for example, the one I'll bring up is Johnny D posted up, how about this rig while I was deployed to Kuwait in 2010? And he shows a Thrustmaster wheel attached to an ironing board sitting in front of a laptop that's on a box of soda.
That is definitely true DIY, right?
So I don't know if you guys watch the pre-race show for the Coke races, but this is like a repeating segment that they do where Chris Oberlin and those guys who are doing the pre-race commentary and stuff, they go over these rigs that you send in on Twitter, and they'll pick a few of them out and talk about them on the show right before the race starts.
Yeah. And it's just neat to see such a variety of what people are running. You see the really big rigs like Brian's built up that have motion and all the bells and whistles, and then you see the ironing boards and the sofa sitting in front of the TV with a TV tray. The whole 9 yards. I mean, some of these are really ghetto. Like this guy Wayno, he has like literally a folding chair like you would take to a picnic, in a bag you put over your shoulder, and he looks like he put a blanket over it for comfort. And then he's like fashioned some kind of wheel deck to sit in front of him out of some boards and duct tape.
So did anybody look at this 142 pages of ideas? We didn't give this topic to anybody.
Well, I think we kind of talked about this before. As far as the forums closing, that is what, Derek Spears was talking about. That particular post is where everyone would show off their rigs for the last 10 years. And we have 142 pages of pictures of rigs. And so it's like, the de facto source of getting ideas. Like if you ever want ideas, like we just went and looked at this Twitter, all the comments to this particular Twitter, but this forum post that's so many pages long, man, it's just gold when it comes to looking for stuff like that.
Yeah, next we have a new wheel teased by SimuCube. They teased it on Twitter. I don't really know what's so special about it. I don't follow them close enough. It's the picture is just a guy holding a wheel, and you don't get to see the front of the wheel, and I don't know if they have a new quick connect that they're trying to show off, but other than, like I said, the back of a wheel, I don't get much information from it.
Did you say some guy?
Yeah, who's the guy?
It's Max Verstappen.
Oh.
Not just some guy. Wow.
I don't know. I don't know what he looks like.
You just Paul Tracy that deal.
Yeah, I did. Pretty bad.
Don't really see his full face, so it's not that big a deal. I'll let you slide.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't see much about the wheel. It's a D-shaped wheel.
Who?
Now
Max
we looked
Verstappen.
We looked at the SimuCube lineup earlier in the show, and my take on this is they developed a new wheel to go into one of their packages in conjunction with Max.
It's a GT looking round wheel. more or sports car type thing. It does have the magnetic sensors on the paddles. That's about all you can tell from the backside.
Yeah, so I guess at some point they'll flip it around, let you see what it actually looks like. But right now they're just teasing it, and maybe teasing that they got a big name behind it too.
All right, next up, the Ultimate Driver's Rig, provided by Greaves 3D Engineering. And this video is crazy, guys. When I saw this, I had to double take. The rig is mechanical and moves. Your seat moves forward. The wheel moves towards you. The monitors slide up closer. Everything is mechanical. You can move it to different positions, either GT or Formula One style. And I was like, wow.
Well, you see, what's really happened is Megatron has gone undercover into hiding as a sim rig now instead of a car or a gun.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, when he pulled the steering wheel towards him and moved it up, down, tilted it, all just without any trouble, just no moving things around, just move it. It was amazing. I've never seen anything like that.
The video shows the guy going through the process of switching it from Formula One to GT style kind of thing, where he moves the pedals, he moves the seat, he moves the whole steering mechanism, and even like the details like the steering mechanism that he kind of pulls in next to him and moves down. The button boxes on either side are attached to it, and they move too, and it's just amazing.
Then we've got another one of them expensive wheels. Not 2 or 3, but it's up into the 4 digits. For $1,250, we have the IndyCar champion and Indy 500 winner and avid sim racer Tony Kanaan, who is in partnership with GSI. They are excited to release the Formula Pro Elite and GXL Pro Kanaan Edition. It's a Formula style wheel. It's expensive. It's got a lot of buttons and a display.
So we covered this wheel 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. I don't know, but and we covered it because Gomez Sim Industries made a special one for Tony, but now they're basically made 20 replicas of that wheel, and they're gonna have 20 new buyers will be picked at random to receive the wheel signed by TK himself, making for a special edition to any collection.
This is worth $1,200. I'd definitely $1,200 for this instead of spending 3 times more than that for some fancy Fanatec rim. For a Bentley, this is badass.
Yep, it's got magnetic pedals on the back as well as 2 analog clutches, so you can actually use it for standing starts as well.
I wonder how much they just sell like the normal wheel for, because man, the grip on that thing looks sweet.
The non-special edition?
Yeah.
We'd have to, I guess, go find the website.
Yeah, I don't race Formula
it's about
stuff,
the same, I think.
Yeah, so I don't race those things, but man, that looks awesome.
So before we exit hardware, let's talk about our hardware purchases. David, let's finish. You talk about your pedals a little bit, the Sim Coach. You had a problem. You got another set, and then what?
Well, he sent me another. First, they helped me figure out how to fix it. We thought we had it fixed, and it got an air bubble again, so they warrantied it, sent me it. And even though I bled him again, and the air bubble had not gotten back in it by the time the replacement came in, I put the warranty in yesterday, and ever since it's been driving great. I nearly won Spa this morning, and it's given me just enough sensitivity to do some perfect trail braking at Pocono. But like I said before, it's you're going to have things go wrong with hardware. It could have happened in the shipping. But what was great was how much support I had with direct communication with the guy setting it up. And then in the process, I actually ended up helping them with their software because I showed them where iRacing's configuration files were for calibration. But they feel great. They it's, I don't know how else to explain it, but it just, when I press the brake pedal, it feels like I'm pressing a car's brake pedal. And even though they're not inverted, it feels like I'm pushing the car's brake pedal, because it's pretty high up in the air, and I'm only pushing the brake, the pad. I'm not pushing the whole lever.
Okay. Yeah, I have inverted, and I'm always concerned if I go away from inverted, am I gonna hate it?
Well, on these hydraulics, with the way they're stand almost straight up, basically, it feels like a real pedal.
Okay. And then Tony Gross, you want to tell us about the Track Racer TR80?
Yeah, finally got it all built and in place, and I'm sitting in it now. And it's comfy, and it's cool, and it does not move. My PVC rig was fairly solid, but you know, it still did move a little bit. Yeah, it was. I am now like rig twins with Rochette. We both have the same rig. The only difference between ours is our seats. He's got the Track Racer GT seat, and I have that one. NRG seat, because they didn't have the Track Racer seats in stock, and they didn't know when they were going to get them back in. I was very happy with the purchase, because I was able to get it out of Canada here. It's just actually out of Ottawa, Apex V2R, virtual to reality. Yeah, the price was about the same price Canadian as it was American, so extremely happy about that deal. Went together good. And Mike, to answer your question, like, I've been inverted for a while, but now with this setup, I had to put the pedals back into their regular base, and I'm very much okay with it. It works super well. I just want to see like how much of a difference it would be with my driving. So I went to my worst track, Dover, and just messing around with some AI and cranked up the AI, and I was just killing it out there. It was great. So now I gotta find some time to get some real racing in.
Okay. Well, follow-up question: why the 80 over the 160?
Price. The 160 is $400 something more, and the only difference really that I could see was the bottom base was a little thicker, and I don't see that as being worth that kind of money.
You don't feel like you're less stable because you have the cheaper rig?
No. Nope, not at all. I'm very, very confident with my purchase. I don't think I'll have to worry at all.
Very good. Nice to get you. I love that seat too. It looks comfy.
Yeah, it's much different than the old junkyard one that I had. Yeah, it's super comfy. Loving it.
Okay, and then I got my purchase from Russia. It was actually St. Petersburg. Came by DHL, and I ran with it last night, and I love it. It's the Aeologs sequential shifter. It came with all the accessories. I ordered everything that you could order with it. It had two different length arms, and I picked the longer one to use, but I have a shorter one I could use. It's got a table clamp kind of for installing it, and I'm using that, but it also has a plate to mount it to 80/20. It's got a red LED light in it that makes it look really cool, because the top of it's clear where you can kind of see inside and see the inner workings. And man, it's rock solid. It's fun to shift. And I mean, this is the kind of hardware that will live on my forever rig. You know, when I eventually build like the best rig ever, this will stay on it. I mean, this is a nice piece, and I'm really happy with it. All right, we're going to jump into results next. Let's talk the NASCAR iRacing series. And we'll finish up, if I can get to the right spot, Nashville, Friday Open. I'll start out with a P4. Started P23rd, was 16th by turn 1, has several cars piled up on the pace laps. Eventually raced my way forward and ran top 3 all night in contention to win. Was second. I actually caught the leader, but just could never get to him. Ran my tires off, trying actually. And then third and fourth got me back by me on the white. And so I had a second, but I lost it to fourth on the last lap. But I was trying to win it. I wasn't trying to finish second, but I couldn't. But man, does it feel good to be competitive. I mean, to fight for the win at this new track. I was stoked. And then my buddy Tony Rochette, man, we doubled up. He got fourth as well. He said it was was good. A couple extra laps, I would have had it again. Steve Llewellyn DNF'd. Someone stole his copper.
I think he's actually the one who stole Tony's copper, so Tony wrecked him out, right?
Steve had an internet problem.
Yeah, and so for a little behind the scenes, it was apparently not that Tony's copper got stolen. I misunderstood what they said when you described it.
Okay. Sunday Open. Tony Rochette, P32, found out what the Fox says. We DD. I don't know why I even started. Kyle, P2, started in P12, got hit on lap 1 and pitted for repairs under caution. Dropped to the back and slowly worked my way forward. With around 50 to go, I started to battle for P2, just ran my laps until 10 to go, and decided to make my move to take P2. That's a good run for him. I think that's the best he's had since he's been on the team.
That package was wonderful. It was the low downforce package, and they need to be running it everywhere. You actually, you could actually pass. You could actually race. It wasn't just a stupid chess match. It was really fun.
And we had a good set too. That makes it makes it so much easier when you have a good set. Sunday fixed. Okay. I was wrecked out lap 1. I got snapped loose into two and just killed it. I was all by myself. I suck. And shame on me for not practicing the fixed set before getting out into the race. I probably should have ran a couple laps, but yeah, I blew it. Brian, what about you?
Yeah, so the green flag dropped to start the race, and there was a wreck about a third of a second later, which wiped out a few cars. I was not in good shape after that. But I did get some practice for the OBRL race on Monday night.
Okay. Tyler got a P meatball. He says 28th. Ran well, just around 10th the whole race. Late restart with 30 to go and spun on exit of 2 on cold tires. Spent about a full 30 seconds flipping in the air as I overcorrected it twice.
I was actually spotting for Tyler after I got done my practice, and yeah, he had some trouble. He had a couple guys that were kind of boneheads in there.
All right, cool. Wednesday Open, David, P3 in top split.
Yeah, set a new personal best there. It was pretty crazy. I should have been P10, but they had late cautions at the end, and we had 2 overtime starts, actually, and both of those times I just went by several people on the outside and avoided the carnage underneath. I also got lucky on the lap 1 crash at the very beginning, and managed to weave in and out of all the carnage to survive to begin with. It was hard to pass. I was running with the second pack most of the race, which was about 9 through 15th, 16th, and was getting frustrated because anytime you could set up a run and pull alongside the guy and get to the next corner beside him, but then the outside would carry more momentum on the next
Because of
run.
the draft.
Yeah, because of the draft, because everybody else would move to the outside. I finally figured out towards the end, I can go by him on the outside, and I started kind of diving on the outside. Basically, I'd get to the outside when they would take the low corner before they could do anything about it, but I was still able to carry the speed, and started picking up a few positions that way, and made it up to 10th. Don't think I was going to get much further up than that, and then here come the cautions. And even on the last run, I had to play dodgeball and miss two guys because I was going to finish 5th, and two guys got into each other.
And I think we talked about this might be the most championship points that you've ever gotten in a race.
Yeah, it's all based on strength of field, right? And it was almost 270 points. Most races I'm making around 180 if I have a good finish. So it jumped. It'll probably change, but it jumped me up to P4 on the points, which will also change when drop weeks start kicking in and stuff like that.
But to digress a little bit, it's all relative, right? I mean, a third and top split is worth more than a win and second split, but it's supposed to be that way because it's that much more harder, right?
Yeah, this wasn't just top split either. It was a 4,700 strength of field. I was car 28, and I was past car 3 and 5, which were guys that were almost on the level of Garrett Maines. And some of it was luck, and just being persistent and being in there. But it feels good to get up there and get the first podium at that level. When I first got up into top split, I could barely ever crack the top 20, and I actually raced my way into the top 10 this time.
So, David, how did that affect your iRating?
It was a 100-point jump actually, but I lost it all the next day because I ran the 2 p.m. race and got wrecked on lap 2. But they went 4 wide, and a guy got knocked into my side, it slammed me into the wall. So, boom.
Okay.
Easy come, easy go.
Yeah. 100 there, 100 there.
I'm pretty well. I have been stable at 4,000 for the last 2 months. So I have a bad race, I'll have a good race. If you race, especially if you race enough, iRating is a true average.
So before today's wreck in lap 2, you probably had at your highest iRating ever, right?
No, because I had a couple of bad A opens, so I started it.
Oh.
I think I've gotten up to like 40, 60 or something. But you're talking pocket change. I'm basically at 4K.
I see. All right, my Wednesday Open, P19. Dang, I was the first caution. And it's kind of ironic because what do I tell all my teammates at the beginning of the race?
Don't be the first
caution, right? And I was. I was thinking, man, I don't trust this guy. He's wrecked me before. He's careless. I let him go by me on the inside. We got to the corner. Coming off, he used up all of his lane, and then he used mine, and he pushed me right into the wall. I was the slowest car after that, and I basically just rolled around and finished, trying to get some attrition. But I was 34th, dead last. I was to be able to finish 19th after that. I was happy with the result.
There was a lot of carnage.
I had more cautions than all of y'all. I think I was in the race longer. We had green, white checkers and everything.
Yeah, but you were technically not that first caution. It was the other dude. We watched that replay, and he drove it like you weren't even there.
Right. Tony Rochette, he said, ping, pong, dong. Hit every wall in the place, then taken out with 8 to go. And then his Thursday Open today, P6, he said, just stayed out of trouble. All right, moving on. Fast Track Sim Racing League, David, P3.
Yep. P1 was faster than me. P2 was faster than me. Not much else to say.
I didn't put my result. What the heck happened to me? I forget. I think I got wrecked or something, but yeah. I usually don't put down my results when I'm angry like that.
The race, I kept laughing the whole race, though, because Lucky was the leader. What's his first name? Robert?
Richard.
Richard Lucky was in there, but crew chief calls him Lukey.
Oh.
So it kept saying, Lukey is in the lead.
Okay, we heard from our friends over at OBRL in their Aftermath Truck Series. Congratulations goes to Steve Thompson in the 67 Ride TV Toyota, winning the Aftermath Podcast Truck Series race at Pocono. Dwayne MacArthur second, and Josh Robinson third.
Now, if Chris was covering this race, he would call those just some guy, right?
I raced that race, sucker.
How'd you run?
I led 10 laps in that race. I ran all right. I just, my 10 laps were only because I stayed out long on fuel, hoping for a caution, which never happened. 35 freaking drivers and no cautions at Pocono. I was banking on one, you would think, at some point, but nope. It was a good, clean race, though. But those guys are just too fast.
Stayed out, you didn't have a good finish, right?
I still did all right. I think I finished 11th, but I was on the long pit strategy, so it really killed me with, staying out with that long strategy. I think I definitely would have had a top 10 if I would have just pitted with everybody else, maybe a top 5, but didn't have anything for those fast guys.
Okay, Brian, how about the OBRL ARCA?
Yeah, so it was in Kentucky, and I actually missed the start of the race, but I got lucky. I got lucky with a long caution on the first lap, so I was able to catch back up to the field. I kind of made my way up to the field, got a lucky break on a caution, and wound up finishing P7. So wasn't too bad. Had a little issue on pit road. I'm going to talk about in final thought, but it was a good run, and Chris was in there with me because his schedule's letting him race a couple nights, and it was really cool having Chris there.
Yeah, that was fun, even though we didn't get to talk much because it was Kansas, and I was just trying not to hit the wall most of the time, which I don't even remember how my race went. That's why I didn't bring it up. I know I scraped the wall a few times, but I don't know, not nearly as good. That was another long, clean race, and that was a really good finish for you.
All right, now final thoughts. Brian McCubbin, you're up first.
All right, guys. So it looks like I'm getting hit by the Fanatec shifter bug. I had 2 problems with it this week. When I'm going into first gear, like if I'm throttling down for pit road, it's going into reverse instead of first gear, and that's happened to me at the race, at the OBR race. I was going down pit road, getting ready to jump at pit stall, hit first gear, and it put me in reverse. And I spun around, hit the wall, touched the wall a little bit, didn't get much damage. I got a couple incident points from it. So I got to figure out what's going on with this thing. I did a firmware update, see if that helped, and I did a practice race with the OBRL guys on Tuesday night for the truck race, just and everything's working okay now. So I'm crossing my fingers that I'm not having any more issues, but I'm holding my breath on this one.
That one sounds a little different than the one I would get. It would always go to first instead of third, and that was an issue with the Hall effect sensor, and it just. I finally gave up and switched to sequential. There was a couple of YouTube videos on how you can take it out and dust it off and put in some duct tape to insulate the circuit board. I did that for a while, but it started messing up again. So at that point, I went to the sequential.
Cut bait and run, man. Cut bait and run. We'll get you one of these analog shifters.
I have started. Might be putting out feelers for shifters coming up soon.
You can just switch to sequential, the next gen sequential anyway, right? You pull it for upshifts.
If I'm like racing ARCA like I was, I like to kind of have what they were using in the car,
All right.
Guess I'm next, yeah?
No, Chris Scales, final thoughts.
Oopsie.
Brian McCubbin, that's my final thoughts. This is my first time using the website as a script. It's been a while since I've been on the podcast, and man, he's done a great job with this thing. And so I was already going to thank him for that, but then he gets on here and gives me some Fanatec fuel, and you guys all know how much I love to hear about Fanatec fails. So thank you, Brian McCubbin.
Well, you
Yeah, I
heard it
got some.
You heard it last week too, right? When I was talking about how they never replied to my email about the replacement part.
Yes, that was delicious as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and I got some more Fanatec fuel for you. I mean, I found a video today of a guy on YouTube that has basically the same problem I have, where he couldn't get his wheel off. He eventually forced it off, and there was like a broken piece in there, and his situation, he was within his 1 year warranty, and they're going to replace it. But it sounds like I'm not the only one who has a problem with the wheel. All right, David Hall, final thoughts.
Nashville was fun. NASCAR needs to go back there again. I think it's a 4-year agreement. It was really cool. A lot of people were kind of nervous about that track because remembering the last time they ran there, it was just Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards beating up on all the Xfinity guys, right? It was the Xfinity race was actually the best race because there was just enough concrete or rubber in the concrete that cars could run side by side for laps at a time. Very exciting. It was fun. It was hot down there. I was going to meet up with Vincent Picotti, but he was busy doing sponsorship obligations for the Quinn Hoff car, right? And they were probably pretty busy because the race didn't last very long.
Boy, Nashville's awesome.
One last thing, I want to agree with David about Nashville. They could go ahead and make that contract 40 years. The place is awesome, and it was great racing with the high horsepower package, and that's why I wanted to bring it up real quick. iRacing, you need to give that option for that package to leagues and hosted races so we can run it anywhere. That should be easy enough because, man, we were loving that in the last week.
Yeah, they were all exciting races. So, yes, Kyle Larson dominated the race, but that's part of racing, right? See how long they can dominate it. The short runs were a little bit more challenging, but the long run, yeah, he could just pull away. And the ending was pretty dramatic fuel mileage wise. I don't know how he made that car last that long on fuel mileage. I listened to the radio broadcast usually, and Mike Bagley noticed that he was actually turning the engine off on the front stretch. Completely turning the engine off, coasting on the front stretch, and still running faster than second place.
All right. Greg Hectus, final thoughts. Oh, yeah, Greg's not there. Tony Groves, final thoughts.
Hey, we got Ladies Night Out Racing. They got a race at Talladega Saturday night. It will be broadcasted by OBRL. Check out their channels, YouTube, Facebook. It'll be pretty easy to find. And you got Aftermath guys going to be doing some commentating. So same deal as per usual. You know, they got 50 laps, fixed sets obviously. But I believe the change that they're making for this race is they're turning the damage off. And I'm not too sure if I'm very excited for that because I love seeing crumpled cars. But we'll see how it goes. They're trying to just keep the racing happening, for all the levels of ladies that they have coming out. So hoping that they get a better showing than they did the last race. Although the racing they put on was extremely entertaining. This will be their second attempt at a plate track, so we'll see how that goes. Looking forward to it.
Well, with damage off, everybody should be able to finish, and so.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the damage is off, but they have unlimited fast repairs. So turning the damage off really doesn't do a whole lot. I guess like the most that I could say that it would do is, if you do wreck somebody or get yourself into trouble, you kind of get a penalty. You got to go basically to the back of the field, right? Because you got to come in and get your car fixed up.
But they're not going to get punished if they just stay on the gas too early and too long and slap the wall.
Right. Oh, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes these changes work and sometimes they don't. But you got to try them to find out if it's the right fit. And either way, the ladies know how to put on an entertaining race. So we'll be there, excitingly waited, I guess.
All right, very good. My final thoughts, man, I love this shifter. It is rock solid, and I'll never miss a shift with a sequential shifter like this. And I got it mounted to where the mouse sits on a tubular bar, but it's not rock solid. It can twist. And so Bobby Jonas turned me on to some clamps that have a flat side on them, and I'm going to put that clamp onto there. I get those tomorrow from Amazon, and that'll complete the installation. But yeah, just loving it. As far as Nashville goes, very surprised. I don't know if I'm surprised, but pleasantly happy about how well I ran there. And I had a chance to win. I was literally in position to win. I just, needed a little bit more. Maybe I needed better qualifying or better track position. I don't know, but it just feels so good to be in contention to win. It's like a breath of fresh air. And man, I crave that, and I'm going for it next week. Let's do it. Oh, wait, it's Road America. Maybe in the week after. All right, with that, we'll see you on the track. Later.